Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the 1 Point Safety Show with myself, Scott Hartley, and my co-host, Scouse Andy. How are you, mate? You all right?
Yeah, man, I'm good. I'm happy here about seeing these practices and really pushing these guys. So it's I'm excited, man.
So am I. Absolutely excited. I've come out of these two-day joint practices a lot higher on the team than I thought it was going to be. So, yeah, positives there. Positives there. Thank you, everyone who listened last week. Really appreciate that. We had the round table last week. Shout out to the other guys from the other teams who made that a really enjoyable episode. I'm sure they'll want you back on Scouts.
I'm sure
with,
with
the stick that you were giving them. So
they'll do it with you, but not me. Yeah, that's what.
Exactly. But yeah, our highest ever viewership and our highest ever YouTube viewership as well. So thank you everyone who tuned in and downloaded and subscribed. So we really, really do appreciate it. But yeah, this week quite quiet really. On the news front. Oddly enough, we'll touch on this. We've got two new sponsors this week. So Anheuser-Busch, who produce Budweiser, Bud Light, and various different lagers, which left the team when Dan Snyder was in his final season. They'd had enough. They have returned to be the primary beer sponsor of the Washington Commanders for the season ahead. And Verizon 5G have also become a main supplier and sponsor since the takeover. So quite interesting that ever since the takeover of Josh Harris and the group, they've obviously come in and sponsors are starting to flood back. I mean, is this something you expected, Scouse?
Well, yeah. I mean, I did expect new sponsorship deals to come through because let's face it, nobody wants to fucking deal with Dan Snyder. But I didn't think it was going to be the same people though. I mean, I know Verizon's new, but the Anheuser-Busch, I didn't expect them to come back to the table so soon. But that just shows, though, that they didn't really want to leave in the first place, but they just obviously had to just force Dan out. So they did what they had to do. You know what I mean? So fair play to them. Anything that helps to get rid of Dan Snyder at the time, fair play to them. They can come back. No problem.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm really quite happy with this. I think the upgrades that they're putting into the stadium through rails and the new turf and the new sound systems, all that sort of thing, it can only be a good thing for now. We're going to have to use FedEx Field for the next few years. There's no getting away from that. Stadium obviously talk is still at the forefront, and I think that's what they're going to do.
What's our lease now? Is it 2027 or
2027? Yeah, 2027 as far as I'm aware. Yeah,
basically of the lease.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So really, ideally, spades need to be in the ground probably in the next year because you're going to have to either find somewhere else to play.
Especially one superstar. I mean, yeah, but the thing is, it depends what you put in it, doesn't it? You put it where FedEx is, then yeah, you're going to need a new stadium. As in like a stadium to play on a temporary basis with. Maybe Baltimore or something like that. But if it's going to go back to DC, RFK, or even just a brand new site anywhere, as long as it's not on, FedEx, then we can play there until our lease is up. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, but
you're right though. It does have to be kind of in the next kind of year to see it's definitely sorted. It's definitely this is the position it's going to be. This is where it's going to be, and actually start getting it built. Because it does take about 3 years, doesn't it? 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, but maybe a bit more. I mean, I think the Raiders Stadium.
I
think the Raiders Stadium, which is obviously the latest one, I think that was about 5 years.
That takes 5 years.
Yeah, so ideally you're going to want to probably extend the lease by another couple of years. I think politicians will be okay with that. You know what I mean? In the grand scheme of things, if that's the decision that's made, I think that's where we go.
Well, I think that the key word is politicians, as
in of course it is. Yeah.
So because let's face it, if you're the Commanders, and obviously Maryland don't want to lose the team because they prefer to have both. If you say to them, "Oh yeah, we'll just want to increase the lease by 2 or 3 years," what they'll say, well, no, or they'll charge you way over the top to do that because they obviously don't want you to build a new stadium somewhere else. You see what I mean? If it's outside Maryland, they're not going to want to do that.
Totally understand. Totally understand that, but I think the Harris Group here, I think that they are business people. They understand how things are done, And I think they'll probably price this into the overall cost, really. That's what you've got to do. Anyone who's project manager project before, major move of some description,
Yeah, but it's about getting
infrastructure.
the sign off, though, isn't it? You need the
Of course it
politicians
is.
to sign off. And what do you
Of course
do?
you do.
How do you do that if you've already alienated them by moving the team? You see what I mean? So
Mm.
that's the only snag he might come. You might not. You might have the guys in his pocket already, and everything goes smooth. But you just don't know. And politics changes fast, man. It really
Yeah,
does.
absolutely. It's going to change next year. They've got the election, obviously, next year, new presidential election. They'll have new government elections. They'll have new Senate elections, all that sort of stuff. Exactly.
Deal, and do you reckon they'll obviously Wales and Harris will probably try and get it done now, but then they'll probably say, "Oh no, well, what happens if the guy that we're dealing with right now is out of office?"
As long as it's all signed, sealed, delivered, then that's what they've got to stick to.
Say uncertainty, and they might go, "Well, actually, we're going to have to until the new guys come in, or if it's the same guys, fair enough. But if it's not, then if it's new people coming in,
I think either way, Scouts, you're going to piss someone off, aren't you? Whether it's Virginia, whether it's Maryland, whether it's DC.
These things are multi-billion-dollar long-term investments.
Yeah,
it isn't just the team; it's the infrastructure. And it's creating jobs because obviously people built all the builders that need to be on site to build a thing in the first place, and everything else that goes along with it. No, there's probably thousands of people that probably get involved and build a stadium. So, and that really creates revenue. So obviously, wherever it's built, they're going to love that's getting built there. Do you see what I mean? So it's just yeah. I always try and think of from the two sides of it. And I think, if we are going to leave Maryland, well, obviously Maryland politicians are going to be pretty pissed off. So it's going to probably, try and, cause them some hassle at the very least. Anyway.
I just think it's a very difficult decision, irrespective of where you're going to go as a stadium to it. I mean, I never got to see the old RFK. I obviously appreciate and understand it's the spiritual home of the franchise. Those who got to do that before us, I mean, fair play. I've heard, endless stories about what it was going to be like. And then, but FedEx for me is, it's a bit out of the way. It's a bit of a pain in the ass to get to, but last year it was awesome, and that was half full, and I really enjoyed it. And maybe that's just our fandom and the fact that we don't get to go there very often because we're this side of the pond. It's quite difficult, I didn't see that as the worst stadium that I've ever been to. Certainly not, unless you've been to Lee RMI on a Tuesday night when you're pissing in a pot, and that's not a joke. It's
but this is NFL level.
I know what you're saying, but
it's down in the rugby division. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I know what you're saying. It's not. I've been to a lot worse stadiums, that's for sure.
Probably the equivalent of Luton's ground in the Premier League.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I know what you're saying there. Maybe the other thing that came out then, I suppose we've got to talk about it slightly, is the name change, the 100,000 signature petitions.
In the UK, 100,000 signatures actually makes that, whatever that question was.
In the goes to the politicians, doesn't it? Yeah.
Actually, they've got to debate it in Parliament.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, America's probably way different and nothing like that probably happens, but that shows that there's a lot of
there's public interest there, but at the same time of having public interest there, this is a limited sports company that's owned by a franchise that's owned by in the NFL, and it's owned by individual people. They're not bringing this name back. Let's just bring it out there. Do we want them to? Do I want it to happen? Absolutely, yeah, I do. I'd love it to happen, but it isn't going to happen. And we know it's not going to happen because the NFL don't want that to happen.
The amount of grief that Harris would get. I mean,
absolutely.
He will get love from all of DC and all the fans, don't get me wrong, but he will get grief everywhere else. They'll
be instantly straight back down to the worst owner in sports franchise again, isn't he? Oh, yeah, and that'll be it.
Especially for me, I'd be happy with something like, kind of a halfway back to it. Maybe again though the Redskin helmet emblem, because that wasn't the problem; it was the name.
Yeah, of course.
So maybe use that and find a different name to go with it. I mean, that would bring us the old and the new. Do you see what I mean? So I think that would be really useful. And I don't think that would be a big issue. I think the NFL would probably approve that, but the NFL won't approve the Redskins again.
No, I think you could have the spear logo. I think you could go back to that.
You could go spear.
I think you could call it like the burgundy and gold or something like that. Because I just don't think you're ever going to get on a name if we change it again as a franchise and we change to another name again, I don't think you're ever going to get
what happens if
consensus.
If
we went back to what?
Braves.
Mm.
Is that because that's obviously a grey area name, because there's there's an Atlanta Braves as well who's in the
there is
baseball the MLB. So I understand that they're under a bit of flack, but they've been able to get away with it for a long time. So I don't know. So maybe it's Braves. Would that be an okay name? Because if we had, say, the Redskin emblem with Braves, or Redskin emblem, or even the spear, but saying Braves, do you know what I mean? Because that would get us back to our original past. You know, we were the Braves, we're the Boston.
Absolutely, Boston Braves. Yeah, but I mean, if we go, it's interesting, isn't it? How I think the thing that cures this whole process is winning. It's quite simple. It's winning. Win on the field. I don't think it matters what the name is then. I mean, honestly,
I think that Josh Harris, it does. I think it does. And that's the reason why the decisions have come out. I mean, he called us the Redskins. He grew up watching the Redskins. You know what I mean? He is a Redskin fan. He's not a Commanders fan. He's a Redskin
I know that.
So that's another reason why people are going, oh, yeah, let's get a petition back. Look, all the fans want it, which, to be fair, probably 99% of the fans probably do want it. But the problem is, he says, it's all the grief and the lack of money investment he's going to get if he goes down that route. I mean, let's face it, the Commanders in Josh Harris. I mean, if I put myself in Josh Harris's shoes and I go, okay, well, I've got the power to change the name, and you're thinking about it was the Redskins, a storied franchise throughout like the decades, and then all of a sudden you've now got a basic new franchise name called the Commanders, which is and also don't forget this is Dan Snyder's name. I'm thinking I don't want to stick to this. This is not my legacy. A Dan Snyder label team, to see what I mean. So you might want to change it again and go completely off piste. But the idea is, I'd be wanting to change it if I was Josh Harris personally. But again, you got to get the right name, and obviously it takes, as you mentioned, it takes about 18 months, 2 years to kind of get the right branding, to get trademarks in place, all the crap that you need to kind of go with. So it is a lot of work, and obviously it's not as big as priority at the moment. The stadium is, but I can definitely see it changing. I can definitely see it changing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I reckon it'd be like, next 3 to 4 years, once the stadium's like half built, I can probably see him looking into that, because I think,
or even a new name for the new stadium.
Well, that's what I mean. So that you're looking into it, working that, say, so we've already half built. It takes about 4 years, 5 years to build. So it takes 2 years to do that's what I'm saying. So when it's half built, you probably start looking into new names, and then new name for the new stadium. Start afresh fully, you know what I mean?
Correct, yeah.
That's probably well, that's what I would do. I mean, if I was in that position where I had that kind of corn, and that kind of power, that's what I would do. I mean, I'd obviously look back and try to get, is it possible to get Redskins back? Or use Braves, to use from our old team, because that's who we were. You know what I mean? Yes, some history was good, some history was bad, but everyone knew who the Redskins were. Everyone in the world.
It was just iconic, wasn't it? That's the thing. It was iconic.
I mean, we on the Cleveland Browns, that Browns don't mean shit. Do you see? Oh, actually does mean shit in their case. Do you see what I mean? Browns. So, we had an actual proper story, a proper franchise name, a proper, like, it's along with the Cowboys, it's along with the Patriots. Do you see what I mean? Like, it's that level.
The 49ers, the Dolphins, it's them sort of
level. Do you know what I mean? Like, so, but
the
now
Steelers,
Yeah, I mean, if anyone who's anybody who knows even a little bit of NFL would know all them teams you just mentioned.
Of course they would, absolutely.
Yeah. They are powerhouse teams. They're successful teams long term. They've also got great players, but also they had an iconic franchise name. You know what I mean? And we were one of them.
Yeah, we were, and hence that's probably why the cost of the team was so high.
That's why it hurt a lot of us when we lost the name.
Absolutely.
It's the name. Well, it's not. It's who we were. It's who we were brought up with. It's who we are. So I mean, I was very upset when we lost the name, but again, it's one of them. I mean, I can't see it coming back. I just think the woke culture over in the States is just too high. We're never going to get it back. But can we get a compromise? Do you know what I mean? And that's what I'm looking for. If we can get the emblem, or can we get the spear back, or do you know what I mean? Stuff like that, and it'll just link us back to who we were. Do you see what I mean? So, and I think that's what I'd like personally, if we can't get Redskins back.
Yeah, I agree with you. Well, on to kind of on the field stuff now then, Scouse. Obviously, this week, Ron Rivera has mentioned that he's not willing to anoint Sam Howell the starter yet. I mean, yeah.
You're fucking trash!
Exactly.
That's Rivera right there, mate. What is he doing? Like, because that is like that's like, what are you like? What's he got to do? What's Howell got to do to be classed as number one QB? He's killing it. He's absolutely killing it in the off season here. You know, he's even mowing down, the Baltimore boys as well. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand what he needs to do to become number one. Ron.
Yeah, I don't get it either. I really don't understand what is on there. But funnily enough, when the media storm plays up and it's, he won't do this and he won't do that, Ron normally responds to that. He's very slow responding to the media. I found Ron Rivera over his time, and sometimes he has a gaffe, as we talked about before in previous pods, where the Eric Bieniemy bits and pieces that we talked about. Well, we didn't get a chance to talk about last week, but last week Eric Bieniemy, obviously, he came out and he was being pushed hard. The players were being pushed hard. That's now gone. Old news that. I don't know if you want to labour the point and go back to our win against the Browns. Obviously 17-15. Was it 17-15? It was in the end, wasn't it? Rain delayed game. I mean, this annoyed the absolute shit out of me.
Was off because, like, if it started on time, I would have watched it all live.
Yeah, same.
It was like, we don't know when it was going to start. I'm like, oh. So I ended up going to bed because it would have started.
Yeah,
What would have been, was it 1:30? That'd been the normal start, wouldn't it? 1:30 in the morning.
No, it was 12:30. It was meant to start.
And then it
was
like 2:00.
And then I'm looking at Nikki Javala and she's tweeting out saying, "Oh, it's an hour and a half delay." I was like, 2:00 in the morning. No, I'm going to bed.
2:00.
I mean, I was due in. Yeah, I was due in work at 6:45, so I was like, I probably would have got, I don't know, maybe the first few drives just to see the few drives and then go, right, that's me, I'm going, and I'll catch up with it the following day. Also, one other thing I've got to ask, and it's probably a Scouse's sizzle here, DAZN. Disaster is the next thing.
Yeah, disaster
of an app.
That's what we should have started calling them that from now on. Just call them disaster.
I mean, funnily enough, it's all right because in some ways, because I'm used to this app. If anyone who's listening from the States doesn't or Canada doesn't understand this is basically the Sunday ticket, or what you call the Sunday ticket for YouTube. I think it's now.
It's a different thing.
They do have DAZN, but we called it Game Pass. So we used to have NFL Game Pass, which has now been taken over by DAZN. There's been a lot of major cock up on the finances side of things, where people were paying for installments and their money ended up going out in a wanna for the entire subscription, which was costing like, a couple of £100 in a lot of cases, 150 quid or whatever it was. And I was just like, wow, this is ridiculous. But luckily enough, I've used DAZN for boxing, and I've watched boxing on there and subscribed to boxing schedules for the DAZN app. So I was kind of used to the DAZN app and the way it's set out. So I know that a lot of people in our WhatsApp group the following day were like, how have we only got 5 minutes of highlights? And it was like, no. If you click over the top of it, it will go back to a full replay. It's just knowing where to look. None of that was explained. There was nothing in that app or on the app that you can get on the TV to tell anybody this is where anything is. It's been an absolute cluster from start to finish. And yeah, I don't know if it'll still be in next year. Correct. It's absolutely effing trash, Scouse.
That's the zone/disaster right there.
Exactly. So yeah, after that disaster, obviously I did get a chance to watch it the following day. Who are your standouts then? Standouts for that game? You got any standouts for that game? If you can remember.
Got a couple. Yeah. I mean,
so should we do
one offense, defense, something like that?
Yeah, let's do that then. Let's do that. Stock up, stock down. Let's do it that way. So who are you going for who's your first stock up then, Scouse?
Oh, it's Sam Howell, without a doubt. Without a doubt. I mean, he's dealing with absolute trash O-line.
You're fucking trash!
Absolute shit offensive line. Wiley was a nightmare. He was going to be stocked down. But anyway, getting back to the point of Howell. Howell is like, he made one big mistake basically, and that's where he took a sack.
On the hot route, yeah.
Yeah, he should have took the hot route. Robinson was out on the flat. He should have given the ball, but obviously he realized too late. He thought he was going to run, but didn't see the other big tackle on the outside. And he got mauled up basically. But 9 for 12. I think it was 77 yards, touchdown.
That's it.
And 1 for 8 yards. Okay, so you're thinking, well, yeah, it's not bad. But the 3 throws that weren't like completed. One was a throwaway, which I thought was a great decision because he was under serious pressure in his own end zone and he threw it away. That was a veteran move right there. He got out the pocket, threw the ball away dead quick before the guy was right in his face and he just threw it away, calm as you like. That's exactly the kind of shit I want to see.
Yeah, learn for another day. There's always one more down. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then one was battered down, which can happen because of his height. Let's face it, he's only 6 foot, and these guys are like 6'8". You know, and he's trying to get, and they're putting their arm up. You know what I mean? So that can happen, and no problem really. And then the other one was a drop pass from John Bates, and I think the pass was beautiful as well. And it was a difficult-ish catch. It was over his head. He had to go like outwards, going towards the sideline. However,
I still wouldn't have said that was a difficult catch.
Got to make those catches.
I still would not have said that was a difficult catch. That, for me, was on the money. He's wide open, Scouts.
It was over his head. He had to come up like this. But again, I'm not putting any blame on Howell. That was where the ball.
It's a Bates drop. It was a Bates drop.
It was all on John Bates. You know what I mean? And we know he hasn't got the greatest hands, but yeah, in a proper game, you've got to catch that ball, man.
Yeah,
and what I was more impressed with was 2 more things about Howell as well. Where there was a 3. I think it was a 3rd and 6, and got flushed up the pocket.
Is that the rollout to Cole Turner?
He rolled out. No, that's the 4th down.
Oh, okay.
The one where he ran to the left and actually just like left the DB on his ass, and then when they got the first down, so he used his legs to get the first down. You know, when he got flushed out the pocket. The 4th down was the one I was going to come to. 4th and 6 with the Cole Turner one where he rolled out to the right and then got the ball into Cole Turner, and he looked like he was in oceans of space. So again, it shows that the EB system is working to get these guys open, you know. And I thought Sam did exactly what we hoped, what I hoped from him from the first game, you know. So yeah.
Well, I'm going to go with EB. Actually, I'm going to take Eric Bieniemy. I was really impressed, and what thing that really impressed me was the fact that you got that safety early on, and we looked at that and thought, "Oh, this is not ideal." Wow. But from there straight away, it was the fact that you could on the hoof and on the fly just make changes immediately, little adjustments here and there. You could see the immediate adjustments. We're not in the same system where we're waiting for Jay Gruden to make adjustments at the end of a quarter, or we're waiting for Scott Turner to make adjustments at halftime. We're making adjustments immediately. A series later, them adjustments have happened. And you can see that the difference in the way that the plays are being called. Yes, I think this is going to be a lot of screens. There's going to be a lot more gadget plays when we come to this offense. There's going to be a lot of shorter and intermediate throws. But don't forget that Sam Howell does have that long ball as well in his blocker.
I just can't wait till everyone starts going, oh yeah, they're only a short passing team, they're only intermediate passing team. So everyone comes up. And then let's just see Terry fly down the outside and see,
a la Dallas last game of the season.
Beautiful, you know, and that's what you're going to be seeing. They're going to play it all short. They're going to play it intermediate probably most of the time, as you said, and then hit them with the deep ball. And because that's what's going to be once those DBs start to come up, thinking it's going to be short again and again and again. Then you hit them over the top, and that's where Diami gets involved. That's when Terry kills them on the outside. Jahan, Samuel. There's just so many guys. We've got so many, you know, and this is it, man. This is why EB's not stupid. You know, EB came here. He didn't want to lose his reputation coming to a perennial loser from a perennial winner that he was just in. He knew how good this team could be with his coaching. You know what I mean? So with his the talent's here. You just need a natural, real coordinator to actually get these guys firing, basically.
And funnily enough, Scouts, isn't it? We had the complaint earlier in the week about EBs pushing them hard. We've had 2 days joint practices. We're going into Baltimore at the next preseason. We've had a preseason game. No one's talking about that now. It's funny, isn't it?
I love it because, I mean, we've mentioned anything yet about the practices, but they have been rough, man. They have been full on, you know, game level, game speed type of practices. and some naughty hits from the Ravens. To be fair, I thought some of them were really low blows, especially the Mark Andrews one. On
yeah, I think we'll come to that.
You throw on Hudson?
No, it was on Danny Johnson.
Tony Johnson, sorry. So yeah, I mean, I was suplexing the guy when he wasn't even looking. I mean, that's just low. That's a low ball. That's the scum of the earth type of move. That I mean, the other ones, where like, the DB's getting in the receiver's face, giving it all this, and he slack his shoulder across the face with the helmets on. I don't mind that because that one's actually face to face. But that Mark Andrews one, man, I lost a lot of respect for him after that because there's no need for that at all. I mean, that could have broke his neck. Do you know what I mean? End of the day, I understand it. The juices are flowing, the competitive juices, but you can't do shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, really, he would have been ejected if that was in an NFL game.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
What's he doing? He thought what? He got a slight low tackle. I think that's what I got pissed off about. But I thought, did he get picked? Is that what it was? He got picked, and that's that.
No, I think he just got a low chop block tackle. I think that's where he was going with it.
It's poor, man. I just think it's really odd. If you want to have a go at him, fair enough. You want to hit him across, hit him in the face, push him in the head, whatever. Fair enough, but not shit like that. Suplex when the guy's walking off thinking that the play's already over. It's proper sneaky, that, like.
If we go back to the Browns game, anyone else stand out for you then, Scouse? I mean, we could sit here all day and list it, but for me, I mean, I'm not going to go into massive detail now. I thought Cole Turner had a really good game. And then, I mean, if you've got anyone else on offense, let me know. Would you say Jahan?
You got to think Jahan with a nice catch.
Yeah, it was a nice catch.
And touchdown there because he's small enough to be elusive enough. Do you know what I mean? So
Byron Pringle, he stood out for me a bit as well. Decent catch down the sideline.
I think, yeah, I mean, great throw by Jacoby as well on that one. Right on the dime. I mean, it was great coverage.
Probably got to give Jacoby's props as well. He was decent enough, But we know what he's there for. He's the best running. He's the best backup quarterback in the league by a long way.
Also the highest paid.
Well, exactly. But
so
yeah, I know
you pay for. Do you know what I mean? I've always been a firm believer in that.
Yeah.
You want to go bargain bin dipping, you're gonna get bargain bin quality. See what I mean? So get yourself. Exactly. You pay out some dollar, you get the high quality gear, and that's what happens, and that's what it's about.
What about the defense then, Scouse? Anyone stand out for you on that?
In the game, I wasn't massively impressed, to be fair, from the defense. Ooh. I expected a lot more from the defense, considering how good this defense is and how much we expect from them. But my biggest one really was probably, as in like the biggest one who locked in. Do you want to go stock up or stock down with this?
Go stock. We'll just go stock up. We're not bothered about down. We'll just go stock up for now.
Probably the corner, Forbes, because he only played one real series, but that fourth down stop when he absolutely nailed it. I mean, along with Cam, when them two then came across there and stopped him on fourth and goal, shows he's willing to put his head in there. Do you know what I mean? Which we always knew that, but you don't really know until you get into that game speed. And is he gonna make a business decision as some guys do when they jump out the way or don't tackle as hard because they're scared of getting hurt? He doesn't. He's put himself right in there, man. So I think his stock's going up.
Yeah, I think the two for me on defense I would single out would have been Percy Butler. Had a very good game. Noticed and interception, took the ball back quite far as well. He played really, really well. And your boy Christian Holmes, Sip, as he's known.
Sip, yeah.
Yeah, he had a really good game. Couple of pass breakups, some really strong tackling. He was a guy for me, and I think we mentioned it on the Bleeding Burgundy with Ken Johansson. He was talking about him saying he's probably one of these guys who's on the bubble. Not anymore. He's firmly on that.
It's going to be. There's going to be some good players getting
serious
practice squad, which might be taken from some other teams. I think the key ones they're going to be Castro Fields and Wild Goose. I think they're going to be the main ones who are probably going to go on the practice squad. I mean, I think Holmes, as you mentioned, was on the bubble. He was on that borderline of being, in or out. But he's really producing this so far this off season. So, he's great on special teams as well. Him and Butler are awesome on special teams along with Revo. So. I think he stays, but that DB room is full.
It's cooking. It's cooking, isn't it? It is cooking. So we'll move on then, Scouts, to Monday and Tuesday joint practices with the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore. Ron Rivera was very keen to make sure his player knew no fights, don't fight. we've watched some of the practice back. We've watched and listened and seen clips. Clips aren't going to tell you the whole story. 1v1 reps, you're going to lose some, you're going to win some. That's how it goes. Seeing JJ Watt came out earlier on Twitter and said, don't take one-on-one reps for this guy's amazing or this guy's rubbish, because that's not really how it works. You're trying to learn your job a lot of the time. You've got a lot of these guys who are out there trying to earn a job and earn a roster spot. Of course, they're going to get beat. But what impressed me the most was the way that this offensive line that was questionable has stood up for 2 days against what is a very good Baltimore team. Perennial playoff team, decent defense. I don't think their defense is going to be as good as it has been in the past. They've got a certainly very good linebacker room and some very good help in the back end. But up front, I'm not convinced 100% that they are there. But they got bullied. They got absolutely bullied on both sides of the ball in this joint practice. So, if anything, this fills me through massive confidence moving forward with this team.
Yeah, massively, man. It's got to give us confidence. Let's face it. But say, as you say, you're taking on a team who's normally in the playoffs every year. I mean, Lamar Jackson's numbers were pretty shit, to be fair.
Mm-hmm.
When you looked at what he actually did produce with the throws, it wasn't very good at all. So again, that's great on our defense. Defensive line. Our defensive line's going to bully most offensive lines. Do you know what I mean? So that's
did you see the clip of John Allen?
Yeah, destroying that, pancaking that dude. Oh yeah, man. That's what I'm saying. Man, he's an absolute animal, John Allen. You know what I mean?
And then there was one of I saw as well the Commanders put out of Payne as well, where he absolutely rinsed his whoever the offensive guard was. He just straight through him round the corner, 100% sack. He was so quick. I was like, wow, okay, if this is the form you guys are in now, God help him in 3 weeks' time.
That's what I mean. So, I mean, those two guys can cause havoc up the middle. And then I say, as long as Chase and Montez can actually, just do their jobs well, they're not going to be all elite, all pro. They could just be, good and they'd still eat because how good Allen and Payne are going to be this year. So,
yeah, I saw a lot of lumps from Benjamin St-Juste against Zay Flowers. I mean, let's be honest, Zay Flowers is going to be a very good wide receiver in this league. Benjamin St-Juste is not a slot corner. Playing him in the slot, playing him there.
He's too big to play the slot, really.
Yeah, absolutely. He's gonna get beat there at times, and
he's decent there, but he's also struggling with an ankle problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He got rolled up in the Cleveland game, so so he's just come back, and he might not be at his 100% lightning quick speed or on the turn or whatever. So I mean, that's understandable.
And I think I'll be the first to eat humble pie. I'll certainly hold my hands up and say at the time of the pick, I was very confused that we picked Emmanuel Forbes. I wanted Christian Gonzalez. I'll stick by that and say I still wanted Christian Gonzalez. 170-pound piss wet through. He is your boy. He is legitimate. He is the real deal. No doubt about it. These two practices have shown me he's not afraid, as you said, to stick his head in. He's not afraid to go one-on-one with the wide receiver. Odell Beckham Jr., you know what I mean? He's holding Beckham Jr. up for 2 days saying, you ain't getting the better of me, son. And that's
a rookie doing that. You see what I mean?
Yeah. So what's he going to be like in 2 years?
That's what I mean. If he stays healthy, because obviously that's going to be the problem with him. I mean, he's never been hurt before, don't get me wrong. But what I mean is, it's because of his slight frame, can he hold up to 17, 18 games? Maybe 20 games, even if we get all the way, 21 games, whatever it is. Can he keep his body in pristine condition for that amount of time because of how slight he is? But that's the only.
He looks like a very good find.
But his skill set is all there. He's going to be great. He's going to be quality cornerback.
He is.
I've got no problems with him. Don't get me wrong. Yes, draft day. I wasn't expecting Gonzalez to be there anyway. So for me, it was about the Emmanuel Forbes. It was about the guy the Giants took. What's his name? The corner they took, Banks.
Deontay Banks, yeah, from Maryland.
So I mean, those were the kind of guys I was thinking. If we're not going to go offensive line with the first pick, it's going to be something like that. So So was I shocked when I saw Forbes? Not really, but then I was shocked when Gonzalez was still there. You thinking, why is everybody else passed on the dude? You know what I mean? But I think we couldn't have gone wrong with the two guys we've got. Personally, I don't think we lost. Some go, oh, you lost because we Gonzalez, blah blah blah. But to be fair, I don't know how good Gonzalez has been actually in his preseason. So
no, I haven't seen either, to be honest. But I mean, Sam Howell again, Scouse showed out. He looked very good over these last 2 days.
That's all you can ask, isn't it? He's holding up against top quality receivers, and that's it. See, I mean, we mentioned weeks ago, iron sharpens iron, and that's exactly what Forbes is dealing with when he's taking on Terry. He's taking on, Jahan one-on-one. He's taking these guys one-on-one. They're not going not doubling up on these dudes in training. He's going one-on-one with them, and okay, yes, sometimes he's going to get burnt, which is understandable. Every corner gets burnt eventually. They keep leaving them one-on-one because you don't know the play call. You don't know what route's going to do. So he's always going to get that half yard on you. Depend how good are you at recovery speed. And he's always been in and about. He hasn't been totally burnt where he's been like 20 yards past. You know what I mean? So, I'm impressed with him. I'm impressed. I just hope he brings his ball skills to us. You know what I mean? We just where we get a few more interceptions. You know what I mean? Because teams are going to test him out, especially early doors. This rookie, let's see what he's about, and they're going to test him a lot. So until they start to realize, whoa, this guy's quality, and then they'll probably go towards St. Just or
Fuller, yeah, whoever it is on the other side. Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, if you keep going to Fuller, that'll be fine as well because Fuller's very cerebral, very clever guy, reads the game very well. So, yeah, long may this. Said if our guys can just stay healthy, man, if you can just stay healthy, the sky's the limit.
Agreed. And I mean, one thing that did show out in these 2 days of practice, I mean, actually, oddly, there was a question marks over Sadiq Charles. There has been question marks over Sadiq Charles for 3 years since we drafted him. He had a good first day of practice, very, very good by all accounts. Second day of practice, again, calf. The calf flared up and he was out again. So, I mean, we'll talk a little bit more on injuries in a second. For me, the wide receiver group is pretty much locked on now. I think we've got 6 wide receivers there who have, if you look at what's happened in there, I mean, every single one of these wide receivers were legitimately duking people out the socks. I mean, the top 4 straight away, Samuel, Dotson, Terry, and Brown, duking people out the socks. Then Marcus Kemp got in on the act. Then you had Byron Pringle getting in on the act. It's like, hold on a minute.
You think Hemp's going to make it, do you? You think he's going to make
100%, it? 100%. Yeah, 100%. Even if it's just as a special teamer, I think he's made it. I think we might carry 7 wide receivers because Kemp is a specialist. So I think there's probably someone at the bottom end of that roster that's there. But a standout player that we've heard about, Scouse, that took first team reps today and took first team reps yesterday in the Baltimore scrimmage as well, was our 7th round pick, Andre Jones, who everybody forgot about. He looked good.
Yeah, man. I mean,
so he's doing himself no end of favors by trying to get on this roster. I always thought it was going to be very difficult for him to make the 53, just purely because of where we are with that defense, with the ends, with the tackles.
If you're a D lineman or
it's going to be very tough.
You're like, I don't really want to go to Washington because I won't get in the team. Won't get
and the other thing, like look at someone like KJ Henry who's come from a school like Clemson. You're not daft when you're coming from that that level of school. He's a 5th round pick, so straight away he's got the edge over Andre Jones.
He's ahead of the game a little bit. To be fair though, he hasn't really produced a lot. I mean, Henry hasn't been that great. You know what I mean? So these have been flashes from the 7th rounder Jones. So. Yeah. Let's see how it goes. But again, yeah, I can probably see one of those 2 going on the practice squad.
Yeah, and I still think it will be Jones.
This will be the first year I think that we're going to actually lose players that we think, shit, they're good players then. Like the first time in a long, long time because, let's face it, right? You go back to even just last year, a couple of years ago, 5-10 years ago, whatever. When that guys are getting cut down to the 53, we were like, we've only really got 45 decent players. These 8 other guys are some fringe guys that are just there for the sake of it. Now, you look at
there's 60 players there who could probably make that 53.
Who could all make the team, yeah, exactly. So 7 quality players are going to are going to be, let go, unfortunately, and
I think that's going to be Tim Towner put this question into us a couple of weeks ago, if I remember rightly, where we were trying to make
who's going to make
head and a tail of the 53. I think that's definitely something we have to deep dive on, Scouts, to be fair. I really think we've got to do that at some point, because you're right, the Loffenbergs, the Ben Pateos, them sort of players, they're not going to make the squad.
That's the scary thing, because all them guys you just mentioned there are all offensive linemen. So there's 3 guys there you're thinking they are bang average. You know what I mean? These guys aren't going to make the team. These are bodies. And if you're lucky, maybe a practice squad guy. Maybe. The thing is, though, these guys are not that good.
But I'm not hearing much out of Braden Daniels, And I mean, again, I'm going back to a different pod, but
people are saying he's a bust at the moment. I've heard some things coming through the grapevine. I don't like it. I mean, I don't know.
Was he our third round? He was our third rounder, was he? Fourth rounder. We didn't have a third because of the Wentz trade. That's right. So
we did have a third. But
it's Stromberg. It was Stromberg. What am I talking about? And he took reps at guards. I mean, this is the other thing. Is maybe your Scousey sizzle. I heard you talk about it on the bunker, and shout out to Andy and to Jesse, and also shout out to Freddie. I'm not going to forget him. The bunker back in action, and I heard you boys' pod, and it was really, really good. So well done you for getting back behind the mic. I think that's the way to go, and I know a lot of the UK fans out there are very happy that this has gone ahead. So well done, guys. I listened to your pod, and you were saying there about positional flex. Just give us the best players in that position. Stick to learning what you learn. You are not a centre half in football who's going to play up front, are you?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or you're a centre half in football. Yeah, but what we're going to do, we're going to train you in goal. Just in case. Just in case of what, man? Just in case of what? You've already got the guys who play there. So what are you doing?
But by the way, I want you to be a dynamic left winger.
These guys are big yard dogs who've got no pace. You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
The skill sets don't match. See what I mean? That's the same thing with this.
But we've seen it last season, Scouts. We've seen it last season with Cosme, who was taking reps constantly at tackle, at guard, at tackle, at guard. He didn't know whether to where he was coming or going.
Exactly. And that's the problem. If you say to him, look, man, this is your position. You're going to play there all season. This is or even forever while you play for us. You're going to be here. Barring any injuries to anybody else, you're going to be here, right? Learn the position, right? That's what I want to see. I don't want to see positional flex. I don't want a guy who's, a great one of these. Jamie Carragher, for example, and Liverpool. Anyone in England might know him. Ex-Liverpool player, retired. Positional flex. He can play left back. He can play right back. He can play centre back, centre mid, defensive mid. He was garbage in 3 of those positions. The only position he was good at was centre half.
Yeah,
so playing him anywhere else, he just looked crap. And it's like, could he fill in for an injured guy once in a while? Yes, but you're not going to get anything special out of him because he's playing really out of position. You see what I mean? That's not his special position. If you've got Stromberg, for example, who is a true specialist guard, played 4 years SEC.
Or centre,
Centre. Sorry, centre.
Yeah, I know what you mean, mate.
And then you play him at guard. Like, what are we doing wrong?
But by all accounts, he played pretty well. But that's not the point, is it? You need him to play centre. Yeah,
he's there. You drafted him as a centre, so play him goddamn centre. Or if he's not ready to play start, then fine, he's number 2 or whatever. That's just shit. Don't go. Well, we are a bit weak at left guard. What we'll do is we'll play him at guard and see how he does. No. He's a centre. He's played centre most of his whole life. Keep him at centre. You see what I mean? I hate this positional flex. I understand flexibility. Yes, I understand. But when it's like every single player's got to have positional flex. No, you don't. You really don't.
I wanted to ask you about that. On this positional flex that we keep talking about and Ron keeps mentioning, how long are you actually going to play that for? Because 9 times out of 10, if you get an injury, something happens in a game, you're playing someone for maybe a quarter. You're playing someone until you can get someone to fill in there. You're asking them to do it maybe till the end of the game. As soon as that game ends, no doubt about it, you're on the waiver wire, or you're asking someone to come off the streets to play in that team. You're calling someone up from the practice squad. So what's the issue here?
Why are you training a guy to play a position that might play for half a game?
Correct.
You know what I mean?
I just see that as a pointless waste of time.
Especially the big guys up front. It's like, what's the point in that? It's like putting them into the No, you ever seen like the shot putter who actually ran 100 meters at the Olympics? Remember that? Remember
Yeah.
that? A few years ago.
Eric the eel who can't swim. He's in a landlocked country
Yeah, exactly.
in Africa.
Yeah, exactly. And he gets thrown in. He gets thrown into the swimming pool. Yeah, I'll have a go with that. See how you go.
Never swam in his life.
You know what I mean? It's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. It's like me. It's like Braden Daniels, for example, as well. Now I understand he's meant to be a tackle, but he seems very small. So they're saying, well, he's probably getting beat by Chase all day long. Do you know what I mean? Which is okay, but you take on a high quality pass rusher. So when's it the time you go, well, maybe we should play him at guard? But he's been playing both, what I've heard so far, and he's obviously not been producing what they like. So that's that one at the moment does look a bust. You know, really, you want your third up to really your fourth rounders to be playing. You expect these guys to be playing as in like, you know, starter or at the very least number 2, you know, in their position.
And I just find it quite weird that Stromberg's only just like taking second team reps now. Now, I didn't expect him to necessarily take over Tyler Larson. I actually weirdly think center could potentially be one of our strengths this year, which we would have never have said that before.
Yeah, well, barring injury.
That's what I mean. But if they get injured again, because they've all been injured apart from Stromberg, you're in the same position we have been for ages because, and John Tayman hits the nail on the head every time he says this, someone who's a positional flex third stringer for us means October starter. You know, then he's not wrong. He's not wrong generally. But yeah, I don't know. There's a lot to work out with this team moving forward, but I agree completely with you on the point and a lot of the Washington fandom. Stop this positional flex bollocks.
Especially on the lines, you know what I mean? It's so important that if you I mean, when was the last time you saw Trent Williams play center?
Never.
See what I mean? True elite guys don't get moved around.
No, but I mean, it's the same with Brandon Scherf. Yes, you drafted him as a tackle, but pretty much from training camp 1, you knew he's a guard.
Because he wasn't big enough to play.
Correct.
Size-wise, he wasn't big enough to play tackle.
Most people's projection of Sam Cosmi was exactly the same. He's gonna be a guard.
Yeah,
he is.
But does he know that? Because playing tackle in and out all last season, along with who's the swing tackle we've got? Who's playing?
Cornelius Lucas.
So he's playing alongside Lucas in and out all the time, wasn't he? A right tackle. It's like, what's this? Is he fit enough to play or is he not? If he's not fit enough to play, don't play him. It's real simple. Don't bring him in for two plays and then go, oh, his arm's killing him again. It was risk because he had a hand in.
He did. Yeah.
It's like, well, what are you doing? Like, if you've got Lucas and he's playing okay as a stopgap, as a fill-in, why are you bringing him in and out of the team? Bringing it in out. That just messes up the line, the cohesion of the line. You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense to me, that type of thing. And that's what really pisses me off about offensive line. You know,
I agree.
No, it's
maybe we need to get you across there as a coach, Scouse, and you just sit on the end of that machine and just, you know, do the old belly hook. and that'll do it.
All that happens is if I stood on it, mate, someone will do the back end like Tramel Ward or just Tramel
Ward.
He blew his disc, didn't he, doing that?
He did, yeah, absolutely.
And who's the guy who tore his triceps doing it?
David Barder. David Barder, yeah.
Yeah, if I was stood on it, you'd definitely turn your arm on that bad boy.
Exactly. But yeah, we'll move on then to injuries because that seamlessly transitions in because we were talking about Sadiq Charles. Sadiq Charles been nursing a calf injury throughout most of training camp. Again, we've talked about him endlessly on this pod and other pods that you just can't get this guy healthy no matter how hard you try. I mean, scrimmage 1 against the Ravens day 1, he did really well, showed that really well. And, you know, people even in the media were starting to say, I can probably understand what this coaching staff is seeing in Sadiq because he looked head and shoulders above Chris Paul. You know, I'm not fussed. This offensive line at run, you know, against the run, I'm quite happy with that, you know, but it's pass pro the problem where the problems stem. Especially at that left guard slot. I mean, that's probably the only place on the team at the moment that I can honestly say there's a genuine competition to have, you know, someone on that starting line there. Difficult. He's out with a calf. He's in and out. He's in and out. We don't know how long that's going to be. It's kind of day to day. Chase Young with a self-inflicted stinger. He obviously brought this on himself. Played really well in the Browns game. Almost got a sack against Deshaun Watson, but
and then got the stinger, didn't he? So
got a stinger. He's been in individual drills. He's been doing a little bit of team practice. He's not far away. I don't think it's a real big issue at all.
I mean, sometimes there's different severities to you know. Sometimes it could be just.
I've had one. Awful.
Yeah. You know, I had a bad one. That's why I stopped playing rugby.
Was it really?
Yeah. I had to stop because what happened was I went into the scrum and my head went down and a crack in my neck. And what happened was all my hands went numb and it didn't go away for 6 months. So I was like, I'm not playing anymore. I'm not good enough to play, bro. See you later. You know what I mean? So that's the type of thing you can get. I mean, I didn't break my neck. I mean, but when I got X-rayed and all that, I didn't break it, but it just caused that compression on the nerves that much.
Yeah, I used to get it playing hooker a lot. You know, as you can imagine, when you're in that front row of rugby, it's
that's it. No, the ugly, big uglies at the front, man. And
that's it.
That's why I kind of relate to the old line. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
But yeah, man, that's the kind of so obviously that's like a career ender. You know what I mean? Like where you had who was it who had one? He had a bad stinger for us. I mean, and he couldn't get healthy, and he ended up retiring. I can't remember the guy's name.
Not sure.
You think was he a linebacker or was he a safety? I just can't remember his name. But there was a guy probably about 4 years ago.
I'll have to look into that.
I think he had a nasty stinger and he just couldn't get back. Lost all the strength in his arm and all sorts, and yeah, he was done. I just can't remember his name off the top of my head, but I'll research that.
The only other injury we've got here is Logan Thomas, the niggling calf. He's got a calf strain. Hasn't practiced all week this week.
2.5 weeks now. He's not practiced at all.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't think he's going to miss time at the moment, but
not going to be healthy though. I mean, think about it, right? I mean, if he's not getting game reps, so he's not getting any real training reps even before the game, like even week 1, for example. Say he doesn't play preseason and he just goes straight in at the deep end week 1. How do you know he's not going to break down? Because he's not had the real reps and the repetitive training on that calf that he's going to need to be able to handle real game time, real game speed, and real game hits.
So would you then bring him back slowly through the games, maybe week 1, 2?
Yeah,
would you bring him in a series here, a series there?
Exactly. Yeah, you've got to condition him back to match practice. It's like he would do if you were a soccer player.
Yeah.
You're coming back from a hamstring or you're coming back from a calf. You know what do these guys mostly do? Oh, they're on
60 minute sub. You're coming on.
Exactly. They come off for the last half hour, and then gradually build them back to full 90 minutes over the next couple of weeks. That's what you would do. That's what you should do with Thomas. Do you know what I mean? But again, you know, I'm not the strength and training guy there. I'm not the physical.
Yeah.
You know what's going to happen? You probably have a little bit. You probably have loads of rest. You probably won't play any of the preseason games. You probably get maybe a few days before week 1, you might start getting a little bit of training in. But he won't be sharp. He won't be sharp if he starts. He won't be sharp.
No.
He hasn't been training enough, you know?
And that's pretty much it for this week then, Scouts. We haven't got questions in. So, I just wanted a big shout out again to everybody who downloaded and listened last week to the NFC East round table.
Mike didn't bring in any questions today.
No.
Okay, what are you doing?
Recording day. Maybe that's my fault. Maybe the tweets haven't gone out. I don't know. I'll have to look back at it. Pretty certain I sent them out. But
to be fair, I think he shifted over to the bunker. Do you know what I mean?
Maybe. But yeah, I want to obviously shout out a few people here and say, yeah, well done, you guys on the bunker. Appreciate you all being back on. Great show. Big shout out to John Tayman. It's 60th birthday this week. Happy 60th, my man. 3 weeks' time, we'll be joining John and others across the other side of the pond for week 1. Scouts, this has rolled around massively. I'm thinking of doing a little bit of a weird YouTube vlog when we're on our travels with Mr. Burrows over the weekend, and we'll see what we can do. Maybe bring something like that together. We do have the merch available. We have quality pictures of things that you can buy. I promise, Rod, I will get these out to you. Thank you for listening. It's just, been a bit of one of them.
I think I did email them some bits and pieces.
Maybe it's
if
not.
You listen to me, just check your junk mail just in case.
Yeah, maybe it's not come through because I did say that too, that I thought we had emailed him. But yeah, if you do want to have a hat like Scouse's, yeah, you can come and let us know. We have got them available.
Proper embroidery.
Proper embroidery. And
yeah. Yeah,
no. And if we, and our biggest numbers last week, highest downloads, highest YouTube views. So thank you so much for sticking with us. We obviously do this so me and Scouse can talk
It shocks
to each
me.
other
It shocks
on a
if you would
Thursday.
listen to me because obviously I just talk a lot of crap half the time. You know what I mean?
Not at all. I seen you moonlighting on Deuce's pod. Red Zone in the lab. Shout out to him as well. I seen you doing a bit of moonlighting there. So yeah, I know what's going on.
But he pays me well. You see, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I just pay you in cans of Fanta. Yeah, it's not working, is it? It's not working.
Exactly. I asked for cans of Coke, and you give me Fanta. Do you know what I mean? That's the kind of letdown that you give me, man.
And if you get a chance, there's a George Carmy's full press coverage Commanders podcast with Christian and Tony Wheat, and also Big Doug was on this week. Very good pod.
Thing, you might see a couple of things happening through the grapevine next couple of weeks on one of the weekends pre-season games.
Oh, interesting.
And it's got a guy you just mentioned there. I'm not going to mention names just yet because obviously it's a bit of a surprise, but a couple of guys that we're going to get together.
Well, we will look forward to that, mate, moving forward with it. But yeah, 3 weeks' time, me and you're going to sit next to my fat ass on a plane for 8 hours. So enjoy yourself, buddy.
I fell asleep with your bloody neck roll on and all
that. I'm not wasting.
Yeah.
I'm not wasting sleep for no man. That's what it's about. Yeah. But yeah, no.
I could sleep on planes. I can't, man.
I can. I could just sleep anywhere. So I'm not fussed either way. But yeah, you've got to get your sleep in when you're on them flights. That's for sure. But yeah, that's it for this week. Thanks everyone for joining us again for another episode of the 1 Point Safety Show. We'll be back as always next Thursday. And thanks everybody.
Bye.